Hi, everyone, and welcome to the TecHome Builder Webcast, Foodie Tech, capitalizing on the foodie revolution with new technologies. I'm Steve Withrow, and I'm joined by my colleague, Andrea Medeiros.
Hi.
We're both editors-in-chief for the TecHome suite of brands. Before we get started, I'd like to remind you that today's webcast is being recorded and will be available for playback tomorrow at www.techhomebuilder.com/webcasts. If you have any questions that arise for Andrea, myself, or the builders we're about to introduce, please feel free to type that question into the chat box of the control panel that appears on your screen. So let's get us started. And I'd like to just introduce myself. I'm Steve Withrow, editor-in-chief of TecHome.
And I'm Andrea Medeiros. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Now, our first guest presenter is Ken Johnson, Vice President of Strategic Marketing for Landmark Homes USA. Landmark Homes is a U.S. brand of a Canadian company. It is the largest home builder in Alberta, Canada. And Ken has worked with Landmark to launch their brand in the U.S. by focusing on infill locations. And he's based in Arizona, where he helped design Arium, Landmark's first community in the USA, which is in Scottsdale, Arizona. Prior to working with Landmark, Ken spent 17 years with the Pulte Group as a project developer and Vice President of Strategic Marketing for the Southwest region.
We also have Hugh Fisher here today. He's the founder and president of H.A. Fisher Homes. He built his first home in 1976. Since then, he's built over 1,000 homes in Rhode Island, and in 2007, he became exclusively licensed for women-centric home building in Rhode Island.
So before we talk with Hugh and Ken, I just want to give you a quick look at one builder, Irontown Homes, which is based in Spanish Fork, Utah. They were exhibiting their kitchen at the International Builders Show this January in Las Vegas.
And it's a really awesome kitchen.
And their ultimate kitchen features such technology as Gen-Air appliances with an oven-microwave combination, LED task lighting, counter-depth refrigeration, electric radiant flooring, LED lighting throughout, plumbing fixtures from Kohler, and ductless heating and cooling. So as we move forward from here, I would like to ask Ken to talk to us a bit about why Landmark Homes is very focused on food technology. Ken?
Hi, Steve and Andrea. Thanks for having me on today. My background, even prior to getting into the home building industry, was with a formal consumer research company where we marketed and tested anything from pickles to diapers. Automotive was a huge focus. And at the time, I did a lot of automotive research and thought that people put a lot of time into their purchase decision when selecting a vehicle. When Pulte called me to join their organization back in the 1990s, I realized at that point that all those products really pale in comparison to the home as a purchase. It is such a big thing. It's for many people the single most important financial decision that they make, or the huge investment. But the thing that is clear about a home purchase is that it's very emotionally charged. I think the holy grail of emotional purchases has Tiffany has actually coined it with their box, and the diamond engagement ring is a really important decision. But a home is one too, and I don't think that many people realize what an emotional purchase it really is. The kitchen is kind of the soul of the home to that end. In the fact that families really come together at the table. There are important decisions and conversations made over dinner, and that the hearth that has traditionally been in a home is really being served by the modern day kitchen island. It's the gathering place where families and guests come. And everybody, we all have memories of kitchens and experiences in them, both good and bad. People mention comfort food, and for some it's the macaroni and cheese that mom used to make, or in modern times, the delivery that mom or dad places, where you get something there. Those are great, happy memories. Everybody has bad memories in the kitchen too, of a mess, or a stale kitchen, or bad odors. The relevant thing, I think, for home builders today is to make sure that the kitchen doesn't speak in old language to consumers. And I think we're all familiar with GM's attempt to save the Oldsmobile brand by coming out with an ad strategy that said, "This is not your father's Oldsmobile." Well, it was a miserable flop. They accompanied that with a picture of a car that really looked like your dad's old Oldsmobile. There was nothing new there. That's not the way to do it. I think the way to do it is not to just say that you're offering something new, but to actually show it, actually offer it. So I think that having a stylish, inviting look and integrating some of the modern things like recycling centers and organic food preparation really speaks to a home builder. So if you go to the next slide, to answer the question simply, why food technology? It's just kitchens sell homes. People come into the home, stand there, they open the drawers and the cabinets and the counters. Soft close technology is huge. I've stood in model homes and had people close the door and say, well, they don't even have soft close drawers, in other builders' models. And I think it's almost coming to an expectation today that somehow the kitchen has evolved along with technology. In our first communities in the U.S., we are doing LED in all the communities. And another common element that we have at all communities is organic herb gardening. If you go to the next slide, you can see one of the kitchens that we have at Arium. And Arium really sold out prior to even the construction. The only thing that we've got left to sell there are the models, which are now being built. But the thing that we did there was to really blend old and new. If you look at the left side, we are using a Bertazzoni oven, which is a really sixth-generation Italian company that fires the appliances in the same range that Lamborghinis and Ferraris are painted in. Same authentic paint. The plant is actually between the two car companies, and they do all their painting. It's an emotional piece. People don't forget it when they walk in. But then we're also mixing that with the new technology. And if you look over on the right, you'll see a Blomberg refrigerator that has, the latest blue light technology and the 3-zone compartments, along with some other technology features that aren't shown in the picture. If you go to the next page, you can see some of the things that we're offering in the home as standards, starting with a microwave drawer. Now, if you've opened a microwave drawer, this one happens to be by Sharp. Just the action that it has with the smooth glide where it opens up, it just speaks new. It doesn't seem like something you'd see in a kitchen even 5 years ago, but when people walk in, they're sure they're in a new home. And I would say the same thing about the overhead range. We're offering chef-inspired kitchens as as standard. This is a direct vent, which I think is really important in any space, is to directly vent outside. But also the halogen lights are really nice. The refrigerator technology, as I mentioned earlier, has that blue light crisper zone technology to enhance crispness for vegetables. Does it work? I don't know. I haven't tried it. Does it sound great? Yes. and I think some of the other standards that we're including are the quartz countertops, which really have been shown to really kind of be more hygienic than quartz or granite, and that food doesn't get trapped in the surface. And then one of the other things that we're offering is an urban cultivator, and I know later in the presentation, Andrea is going to talk a little bit more about the urban cultivator. I just think that it is a really cool option. It lifts expectations about what's going to be included. And I think people have visions of, you know, their neighbors growing healthy stuff. It just speaks to a new home. So we are including the urban cultivator in our model. The next slide shows one of the kitchens that we have at Center 8, one of our communities opening in downtown Phoenix. And some of the things that we're offering there are integrated recycling centers, the tilt-out sponge racks, under counter, and a second row of cabinets up top for food storage. Again, quartz counters for hygiene and easy cleaning. And then in this community, we'll be offering Bosch appliances. Bosch, again, along with Bertazzoni, another very trusted, long-running brand, but one that is also offering new technology that kind of communicates it's a new home. So if you go to the next slide, one of the things that we have also done, I think, to speak to the way people are eating and living today is to incorporate organic gardening as a community amenity in our communities. It's very low tech, but again, I think fresh, relevant, and healthy for today's buyers. And we've taken that concept even further at Arium. On the next slide, you'll see the amenity we have, an outdoor cooking area, and also a lap pool. This community, we thought it was important. All of our communities are infill, but tend to be on the intimate side. This one is 27 homes, and we thought it was important to create a lifestyle and a social component at the community. So we will be bringing in, as part of the HOA, local chefs twice a year, and they will prepare locally grown food with pairings from the organic herb garden at Arium for residents and their guests. And we think that that is really a way to say, this is not just an old community, but a new community with a healthy look on, you know, food, how it's prepared, and the way you'll live in your community. So in the end, I guess to just summarize how Landmark is using homes or using food and kitchens, it's really as part of the greater picture of marketing a fresh new home.
Wonderful, Ken. Thank you so much. This is such an interesting mix of products and approaches to the kitchen.
Now we're going to talk about H.A. Fisher Homes. They use a women-centric model, and I had the pleasure of doing 2 video stories with them, one on their aging-in-place casitas and also one on the women-centric model. And I want to introduce the founder of that company, Hugh Fisher now. He built his first home in 1976. Since then, he's built 1,300 homes in Rhode Island. And Hugh, now you're focused on the women-centric model. Talk to us a little bit about how that incorporates Foodie tech.
Well, thank you, Andrea and Steve, for the opportunity to be here today and talk about some of these things. And we find that, as Ken had mentioned, that the kitchen is probably the most important area of a home that a home buyer will gravitate to once they walk into our furnished model homes. As most of us know, that things happen around a kitchen table, and so growing up, that's what we had, a kitchen table. Today we have islands in our homes, and so we have to make them large so that people can gather around them at all times, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And with people on the move today, we find that we have to keep making them larger. So some of the things that we've been doing is incorporating into our homes not just the energy efficient appliances. We use Bosch appliances in our models because of the long history that, as Ken has mentioned, in that it's a nameplate in Rhode Island that most people will recognize. The type of homes that we're building are for a price point that would be considered a first move-up buyer or a buyer who's actually buying down. So we're trying to find that middle ground with those two groupings of people. we find that the younger people are the ones that are really hot on the technology. They're up on it, so we have to be up on it before they even step into one of our models. What we try to incorporate is lighting. Lighting is so critical to us, and we find to our home buyers. So we started just a year or two ago putting transom windows in all of our kitchens. It brings in that natural light, as you can see in one of the slide on the left there. And then the rest of the lighting is all LED lighting. We have under cabinet lighting that we incorporate, as well as plugs that they put up underneath the top cabinetry and take it off of the backsplashes. And we find that clients love that clean look. So when people come into these homes, if the kitchen isn't done well with some of these amenities that we're putting in the energy aspect of it, that you would lose them right off the bat. And Ken's models were absolutely stunning when they walk and you see those kitchens, because we feel that is so critical to a home buyer. We also find that a lot of times with the middle of the group, that the couples don't necessarily buy a home because of the energy efficiency of a home, but they brag about it later. So it's our job, and it has become our job, to educate folks as to why they should invest in these new technologies. And we've been very fortunate to be able to do that with a lot of our appliances and a lot of our lighting and the different aspects that we offer. We also offer solar shingles on all of our homes. So we've got a lot of things going on, and we just think this makes it so much easier for young families and people on the go that are going to live in that kitchen, and they're going to try to do things on the go, and we try to make it as efficient as possible for them.
Okay, thank you so much, Hugh. Another thing we want to talk about, we just talked about kitchens of today, but IKEA, of all things, they're known for affordable furniture. They've come out with this idea of the concept kitchen. Now, this is supposed to be the kitchen of the future, so I'm sure if you're looking at these images, you're saying to yourself, what is that? Well, if you look at that broccoli and that tomato that you're looking at, that's actually a table of the future. They're calling it a table for living. Now, IKEA's talking about this happening in the next decade, if you can believe it. So how this table works is you would have a projector above the table. So what you're seeing in that image is a projection onto that table. So what that'll do is you put your food on that table that you want to cook, and it'll actually project recipes onto that table, telling you how to cook those specific items. And, you know, sometimes maybe you're missing an item, maybe you needed rosemary, and the table will tell you you need it. And not only that, but IKEA is talking about a drone being automatically sent out to pick up that item. So you don't even have to get in your car and go get it. So that's one of the concepts they're talking about. The other image you're looking at with the salmon there, that's actually their storing technology they're saying is going to happen in the future. And it contains hidden sensors and smart induction cooling. And then the whole idea is that food is stored open on the shelves and wirelessly cooled to just the right temperature. So the idea behind this is that the food's out in the open, you keep it visible so that people don't overbuy. And now that we have the drones 10 years in the future, you don't have to overbuy because you just send the drones out whenever you need something. So that's perfect. Another thing about energy now is people are very conscious of their water use. So there's also the idea of the connected sink. You don't see it here, but the sink would have 2 plug holes, one for gray water that can be reused, and then the other sends contaminated water through the sewage pipes for treatment. So it would have 2 different holes so that you're reusing that water that is able to be reused. Let's have our builders weigh in on this. Let's talk to Ken first. Ken, do you see something like this being able to work in one of your kitchens going forward?
You know, absolutely. I think that builders that don't embrace new technology really are leaving something on the table. You know, not everything that's being introduced will succeed, and that's clear. But it is important, I think, to look to fresh new ideas on how to live. You know, whether the technology actually works the way it's intended to, I think is going to be key in adoption. We all have had that experience with Siri where, it's just, it can be more annoying than helpful. And I can see that in some of the early, recipe kind of stuff, that I've experienced with, where it really, it's more frustrating than a help. But I think as it moves on, it's something that consumers will look for.
How about you, Hugh? Do you think this is kind of a ridiculous concept? Do you see this being used in your homes that are kind of more mid-level, or do you think this is kind of too extreme?
No, I think I think Ken's absolutely right. You have to be on the cutting edge. And we have to be, as builders, have to be trying different things. Whether they're going to work or not, I don't know. So when we find new technology, we go to the folks who design it and we say to them, okay, we want to use your technology, but you have to come to our model homes and you have to install it for us. And you have to show us that we can market that. But if we don't try things, we're never going to succeed. So some things are going to be successful, some are not. I like the one on the left. I'm not so sure about the one on the right yet, but I've been wrong before. But we have to try different things. If we don't, we're going to fall behind.
All right, thank you so much, Hugh and Ken. Another topic I want to talk about is another technology out there today is the Freedom Induction Cooktop by Thermador. I'm sure both of you are familiar with Thermador appliances, but what's cool about this one, we saw this actually at the International Builder Show this year. You see those pots on the pictures here. You can actually put up to 4 pots, any shape, any size, on top of this cooktop, and you can move them around, and the cooktop will actually sense where you're moving them. So this is a new technology. You don't even have to worry about where you're placing the pot down because it'll know. And as I said, you can put up to 4 pots on top of this cooktop, but it does go for around $5,000. Hugh, what do you think about this item?
Well, I think the idea is great. And as with any new technology, it's usually very expensive going in. That same item in the next few years may be $500 or $1,000. So I think the appliance folks again would have to come in and put them into one of our models and let us showcase them for them. But the technology thought here is excellent. It's very woman-centric in the sense of it's a clean look. You're not limited to these 4 burners. You can take those pots, move them around, put something else on there. Great technology.
Ken, how about you?
Yeah, I would think the same. I would think that one of the benefits of a stove like that would be that you just don't get the wear marks or etching in any certain spot. Like cooktops do today with the glass.
Awesome. Let's move on to the next slide. Steve's going to weigh in on this a little bit.
Sure. I recently wrote a story for TecHome Builder about 5 top luxury kitchen appliance brands. And what I learned in writing that story was that luxury homeowners aren't just interested in fine European styling. What they're also looking for is quietness, efficiency, safety, and true innovation. So those are some themes that came up over and over again as I looked at some of the top brands. Refrigeration has come a long way, and a couple of the real luxury brands out there are Sub-Zero and Gaggenau. Gaggenau really interested me. It is all the components are handmade in the United States, and these refrigerators are all hand-assembled. And they have 3-zone refrigeration and a load of other tech bells and whistles. Anything, Ken or Hugh, about refrigerators that comes to mind you haven't mentioned?
I think the sleekness of an appliance is critical today. Again, it's a appearance of a product. There's great marketers out there. Porsche is a great marketer. They get people to buy small cars and pay big money for them because they present a lifestyle. I think it's the same with appliances in a kitchen. And the sleeker they are will draw folks into them, but then the proof is in the pudding. They have to be able to make them work and then make them affordable.
Okay.
And some other categories of technology that are very important for the foodie-minded consumer are ranges like these we see here from Thermador and the Discovery IQ range, to wall ovens that are very good for space savings, and the functionality of these ovens is excellent, to the ventilation of the stoves and the ranges that's really critical. One of the interesting things about these Miele ventilation range hoods is that they're really ideal for smaller spaces such as apartments and condos or smaller kitchens. Sometimes larger homes even have second kitchens, and this gives a lot of customization for those smaller spaces. Anything on the cooking appliances that you'd like to mention?
Well, I would echo what Steve says, or Hugh, about being sleek and easy to clean, as being modern. The appliances, they really haven't changed in look that much. It's really the technology itself that's changing, and that blue light crisper. I'm waiting to see. It's a really good story. Does it really keep the food fresher? I think that time will say. Is it really something that people are going to be demanding? Food prices aren't cheap. If you're buying organic stuff, it goes bad even faster. And I think that as the years go by, it'll be very interesting to see if that's something people are demanding.
Thank you. So now we're going to talk to you a little bit about a startup project. Really, a group of investors got together and started a smart kitchen startup, and their first product that I read about in Forbes magazine was this June Intelligent Oven. One of the things that's really interesting about this product is that it has an internal camera inside the oven itself, but it not only can show you what's going on inside the oven, but it has recognition software that it's teachable, and it can recognize the different kinds of food that you're cooking. So if you were to put a plate of cookies on in the oven, it will automatically adjust the temperature and the cook time based on the food that you're cooking. And it has within it core temperature probes that users can use to monitor meats, core temperature, and they enable the oven to adjust the cooking temperature based on the info that the probes tell the system.
So you wouldn't even need one of those thermometers and worry about losing it?
That's right. It's actually really built into the system, and it's all part of the computer itself.
Awesome.
And these retail, or will retail, for about $3,000 a piece.
Ooh, it's a lot of money. Another item, this actually retails for $2,200, which is kind of a hard sell, I would imagine. But what this does is pretty cool. For all of you out there, you have an herb garden, and the spring of, especially up here in New England, we had a lot of herbs die this year because it got too cold at night. This is an option for people who want to have herbs year-round. They want to have some basil, some rosemary, maybe some arugula. This is called the Urban Cultivator. Ken talked about this being in his model home. What it basically is a mini refrigerator, and it houses all of your herbs. It automatically waters them through the municipal water supply. So it also uses watering and light cycles to keep your plants healthy. And all of that is pre-programmed using a computer interface that's on the top lip of the unit. It's kind of hard to make out in this picture, but that's where you would be able to program it. It also has onboard fans to control humidity and air circulation. Ken, can you speak to this a little bit and how you've been able to market this to customers of yours having this in your model home?
Yeah, I really, when I saw this thing at the Builder Show last year, I just loved it. And, maybe it's because it really struck a home chord personally. My kids are both vegan, and they are always sprouting and growing stuff all over my kitchen. And I'm thinking, well, this would be so perfect. I, you know, as we put it into our model home, and I think it is very important to show new technologies to customers. They just don't get it unless they see it and they can open it and see what it looks like. I I really believe we probably would have sold a few more of these, and hopefully we will once our model is up. We've had quite a few people through, I think about 20 buyers, and I am unaware of anyone actually selecting it so far. But I think that's because they're not seeing it, and maybe the price point is a barrier. It does fit in the same space as a dishwasher, which I think is very convenient for the kitchen as an option. In fact, we're offering this in beverage centers, and everybody's picking the beverage center still instead of the urban cultivator. It's about the same price.
It's very interesting because maybe it'll be like solar. The upfront cost is a lot, but you'd save a lot of money down the road. Fresh herbs like this are expensive at the grocery store.
Now, I know I want one.
I want one too, Ken. Let's talk a little bit about the newest trend that we've been seeing, especially in luxury homes. Steve's going to talk a little bit about outdoor kitchens.
So the idea of the kitchen being a single room in the house is really kind of going away the past, and a lot of what higher end and even middle market homeowners want is the idea that your cooking and entertaining experience can extend from the inside to the outside. And along with AV technology and lighting technology that lends itself to the outdoors, cooking tech is also going that way with smart grills, outdoor pizza ovens, and other kinds of technologies that, even outdoor refrigerators that make it, and wine chillers that make it much easier to entertain indoors, outdoors, and sort of fluctuate in between.
Have either of you seen more of a trend toward the indoor-outdoor living concept? Hugh, do you want to weigh in on this a little bit?
Sure. We just finished a condominium development in Rhode Island, and there were 2 bedrooms. Most of our clientele were single people, and we found that we developed an outdoor grilling area, and it's become an area in the development that overlooks a water feature that we built, and it becomes a congregating point. So I think anytime you can bring that type of product that has to be, again, sleek looking, like Ken had mentioned earlier, and then the touch on your cell phone to be able to adjust up and down, and like we do with our heating and our cooling in our homes and lock our doors, to bring that to an outdoor setting like this is great. And it's not hard for someone to have to learn how to do it. And I just think it's an extension of what we're already doing in our homes. So that's a great idea.
So, Ken, what do you see the price point for this, though? Because, as you know, with a production home, it's hard in a high-volume home to fit this in the budget. Where do you think this would fall in price range as a builder?
I think that, particularly in Arizona and the desert Southwest, outdoor dining has always been a big part of the lifestyle here, and it's very, it's something that you see at price points over $500,000 in custom homes. I think the idea of a community grill or cooking area, like Hugh mentioned, is a really nice community amenity. A social spot, and it can bring an outdoor kitchen into the affordable range for somebody that might not be able to have one, if they were just on their own. Where our focus is again on intimate infill communities, so the idea of having an outdoor kitchen in your backyard may not be possible, but to have one in the community is certainly already programmed in for you. So we do have outdoor kitchens at our communities.
Well, thank you so much, Steve.
Sure, and now we're going to open up the conversation to questions. And just as a reminder, feel free to type your question into the chat box of the control panel on your screen. As we wait for any questions to come in, I'll ask a question of both Hugh and Ken. What are top 3 things a kitchen should have to market to millennials, younger people entering the market?
Ken, do you want to go first?
Sure. I think that, we all have to be aware of the price point that millennials are operating in today, and that affordability is really going to be key in attracting many millennials. And as people, I think, are more cognizant of the fact that our food supply in the United States is actually kind of poisonous, that people are taking their health into their own hands in what they purchase. I know that the kitchen itself, and the way that we have been, microwaving food and really kind of killing most of the nutrients of that food, is really, I can see it in my own kids. They are cooking in a different way. They don't use a microwave and wouldn't use a microwave. Instead, they have a food dehydrator. Instead of a barbecue, they're really more interested in a sprouting tray. So I don't know whether that wave is very mainstream, but I think that it's coming, and I think that the idea of eating healthier is something that millennials will be looking for.
Hugh, what do you think the top 3 things are for millennials in a kitchen?
Lighting, appliances, and counter space. And then they have to be designed in such a way that they're beautiful and affordable. But you add those items in there with the natural materials, with the natural lighting. In a lot of our cabinetry, we try to go with the natural woods, although a lot of our clients now are going back to the painted kitchens. But you make that from a woman-centric point again. Walk in there, they want to feel like they're comfortable in that area. Because as Ken had mentioned from the beginning, that this is a place that most people will go to, and everybody hangs out around it used to be the kitchen table, now it's the island. So those 3 things, lighting, appliances, and counter space design, that's critical.
Excellent, thank you. I'll ask one more quick question before we wrap up. And we talked a little bit about the future of the kitchen. Is there anything that jumps to mind that you think we'll see in the kitchen of the future?
What we think we'll see, or what we would like to see? What I like to see again is sleek design. We talk about the cooktops, and we talk about the dishwasher, so you don't see the buttons any longer. The idea behind that is so that it's sleek looking. Even the hood systems that we see today, there was a while ago where we used to hide them with 1 inch thick that would slide in and out of a cabinet, and you wouldn't see that big hood. Now we're back to the big hoods. I think it's going to go back to something more sleek looking, and somebody's going to have to develop something like that. But the sleekness of the way it feels to a client when they get in there, and how they can move around there, is what's going to be critical going forward.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with Hugh in taking it a step further and thinking about the future. There are some really innovative designs coming out of Europe right now that are very space-saving. And I don't know if you've seen them, but they're like a tower almost, and it's like a Swiss Army knife of a kitchen, where your sink wheels, can come out, and it's got a microwave in it, and it's got a table and a dishwasher, and it all fits in one stack on one rack, so it's more space saving. The problem with some of those, and I actually looked at them for some of our communities, they're not rated for use in the U.S. Ah. And I think that as appliance manufacturers, as people look to more urban or infill living, and it's becoming more popular that people don't want to just drive and drive and drive, I think that those space-saving and sleek kitchen designs will become ever more important in serving people in smaller spaces.
We actually have one more quick question for you before we wrap up. Do you think there will be more devices communicating for you in the kitchen, like the IKEA kitchen we talked about? Do you see any sort of devices communicating that you won't have to actually press the buttons? They'll know what to do. Hugh, do you want to weigh in on that?
I think we have that today. I just think they're pushing the envelope. My iPhone, I can turn lights on, I can stop my the air conditioning units, I can open doors. Why not do the same thing with your appliances, which they have today? Your refrigerator is going to tell you what you need to order, and we have services, at least in Rhode Island, where you can go on the website, you can order your groceries, and they deliver them to your door. I think it's all coming to a point like that, especially with people on the move. We're all on the move today, and these younger people who, I'm not that young anymore, but you, Andrea, and your age group, you want things like that. You want to make, and you grew up with a cell phone in your hand.
That is so sweet of you to say, Hugh.
It's true. And I think that's where we have to go.
Ken, do you want to close this out with weighing in on this real quick?
I think like all technology, it typically starts a little shaky, and where it's perfected and where it becomes useful is where it sticks. And I remember in the early days, I think I had a talking car, one of the first cars that when you'd open the door, it's like, door is ajar. And it just, at first it was cool and your car talked back to you, and then it was like, this is just annoying. I don't want my car talking to me. So I think it's like anything else. Technology, though, has a place in new. And we are a new home builder. We're not building used homes. And I think that, if somebody wants to buy a used home and buy it with somebody else's toenails in the carpeting and every other reason that people buy a resale home for a new home, you got to show new parts, or it's not any different than something that's already existing in the marketplace. So the onus is on us to bring fresh, new, but well thought out and products that actually deliver. Not new technology for technology's sake, but things that actually work and help to improve people's lives, make their lives more convenient in the home, in the kitchen.
Andrea, can I say one thing?
Sure.
I would say this. People say to me all the time, boy, they don't build homes like they used to. And I say, thank God. The technologies that we have today are coming fast and furious. And the marketplace will weed out the good ones and the bad ones. But we have to keep moving ahead. Bring on the technology. We need it.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
So today we've seen some technology appropriate for high-volume builders, but I think the real sweet spot for a lot of these really high-end appliances is in the luxury category. If you're a luxury builder listening with us today, we want to know about it. Our TecHome Builder Luxe event is being held November 4th through the 6th at the Omni Orlando Champions Gate. Head over to techhomebuilder.com/luxe to submit an application for invitation. If invited, you'll be treated with complimentary event access, food and beverage, hotel accommodations, and airfare. We believe that when the best minds gather, the industry moves forward, and we can't wait to meet the VIPs selected for attendance to this year's event. Good luck, applicants, and we'll see you all next time.
And I just want to take this moment to thank Hugh Fisher from H.A. Fisher Homes out of Rhode Island. And we also want to thank Ken from Landmark Homes. We really appreciate you guys being a part of this today. It was a great conversation.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.